So next part is generated content. Generated content is kind of cool, and we'll show you by the end of this session why it's cool, but we're first going to show you how to use it. So generated content, well, let me just highlight this. So I'm highlighting this whole sentence, right? You saw me highlight that? I started from the left, I'm going to do that again. Start over here, I highlight, and you see that only the center part gets selected. Because this part that I can't select, the before content is generated, and the after content is generated. So visually you can see them, right? But they are not part of the DOM. So you can't highlight it, you can't manipulate it with JavaScript. But you can completely, totally style it with CSS as if it was a div on the page. So how does it work? You do p before, or anything before, and the only required attribute is content. And we'll talk about what goes in there in a bit. But you can style it. So you see here I did font weight bold. And after content is dash after content, and the font weight's bold. So here we have the paragraph, and it says the content. And when I put the after and before pseudo elements on it, I get before content dash, which is bold. Then I get the content, which is the original stuff from the paragraph. And then I get the after content. And this is when you're thinking about this in your brain, think about it this way. So this is not a real element, and this does not appear in the DOM, but this is just for thinking about it. There's a pseudo element, the before pseudo element, and the after pseudo element. So after and before don't really exist. This is just to show you. Because you can style before and after completely as if it was a div on the page. So here we're going to, this is one of the play with pages, so you can play along. But like, bananas are yummy, right? And so when I highlight this, only the word are gets highlighted, because the other two don't exist. Because I ate them already for breakfast. But look, I can actually make this font weight bold, right? I made it bold. Position absolute. Not the best idea just to do that, but top -1em. Bring it up above it. Oops. That was supposed to be 1. Where'd it go? Oh, let's make it relative. That way at least you'll see it happen. Because oh, I can do this. There. Now you can see the bananas. It was being relative to the whole document before. Or positioned absolutely. So bananas are yummy. I can style it. I can do a WebKit transform, rotate 180 degrees, and they're upside down bananas. So we'll learn transform later on, but basically you can style it like you would any other element with the exception of animation. Animation right now on pseudo elements is supported in Mozilla. I think they're adding it to the spec that you can actually do it on any element, but for right now you can't animate them, but maybe we can later on. So does that make sense about how stylable it is and stuff? So basically what's happening is you get 2 free stylable elements, which are not DOM nodes, for every non-empty element. And by non-empty element, I mean a non-replaced element, which means I'm an element that does not get replaced by a UI feature. So an input text box looks like a box. Before and after, where would that go? You can't put before and after pseudo elements on an empty element like that, or an image. It will work in some browsers, but it won't work exactly how you thought. Like because if you noticed here, when I do a before and I do an after, this is the paragraph, right? The before is actually inside the paragraph. It's before the content of that element, or after the content of that element. So when you think before and after in your head, you're probably thinking before the P and after the P, but it's actually within the P. Does that make sense to people? And is that new to people, like they didn't know that? Because I kind of was like, oh, I didn't know that when I figured that out a long time ago, but whatever. So generally, if you were going to position everything absolutely in terms of z-index, this is your paragraph in red. If you were to put a span around the content, it would be in the middle here. The before comes before it, the after comes after it. And this is slightly different than when you're looking, my image is different than the one that's in the WC3 specifications because I find this easier to read than what they have, and it looks slightly different, and you're kind of like, it's conflicting, but it's not really conflicting if you read the spec. So the only attribute that is required when you find when you include the before and after pseudo element is the content. That's required. It can be empty like this, but it has to be there because otherwise you're not styling anything. There's no content to be styled. So what can you put in there? You can put empty, you can put any type of text you want. You can put Unicode characters in there. If you declare your style sheet to be UTF-8, you can actually put the character in your, I think that's a snowman, I'm not sure. And you can actually do attributes. So when an element has an attribute on it, you can pull out the value of that attribute and add that to the page. And then you can do counters. And I'm going to show in another slide how to do counters. Counter name and then counter. Then when you include counters, you have to actually increment it by that name. So, special characters. There's some fun characters here. Let's go to that. So let's do the lesbian character, because that one's new, and I never saw it before there. Control C. And we go here. No. We go to the, oh. Apparently, this does not open a new window, which it should have. There we go. So if I put that in here, I convert it. And then I take this. And I go back here, and I put it here. And shoot. I lost it, oh no. Okay, so let me just do, you can actually put this in anywhere. Darn. Okay, so I lost it. Let's just do 2603 because that's easy. So you can, so that's a snowman. I could have copied the snowman. I could put either one in there. Let me go back to copy paste character, but I'm going to open it in a new window. Sorry, copy paste character. Snowmen are sad. Wrong deck. Okay. If I put this here, just the sad right there, because I declared UTF-8 on this document, it works fine as well. But the cool thing is that if you can use either one. So if you don't think this is going to work because it's not UTF-8, you can also use that character set. So what other things can we use? Okay, so we have this little converter here. If you want to actually use the calculator is in my GitHub. So if you just want to like link to it or whatever, put a bookmark because you want to convert things. I use copy paste character all the time. Plug it in here, convert it, and then I use it in my JavaScript because I'd rather use my the conversion value. Okay, so I'm just gonna, numeric is, let's just do 4890, see if that works, convert. What is it, 2811?
Then you have to do the other convert. The one below numeric
Oh,
value.
that's why. Thank you, because I'm an idiot. Okay, that's why it's not working. 281. Convert. There we go. That's an odd character. I don't know what that character is. Let's try it out. So you see here, I just put a hexadecimal value in. It converted it for me. And then the only difference between JavaScript and CSS is in JavaScript you put a U for Unicode. So that way, at least you understand what that means. So those are special characters.